Hello, dear students. I am Dr. Rushali Madhukar Desai from KANMS Arts, Commerce and Science College, Satana, Department of English. Today, I am going to introduce you the short story which is prescribed in the course of FY BCom Compulsory English entitled The Nightingale and the Rose, written by the very well known famous Irish writer Oscar Wilde. First of all, I would like to introduce about Oscar Wilde. His era was starting from 1854 to 1900. He was one of the versatile Irish writer of a great wit and brilliance. In 1890, he just only wrote one of the novel in his whole of his career, The Picture of Dorian Gray, which was published, and he also began to publish short story. He was very much successful for one of his playwright, which entitled as The Importance of Being Earnest, which was known as his masterpiece, that is published in 1895. After that, getting very much famosity, he died with destitute in Paris at the age of just 46. This present extract, The Nightingale and the Rose, it is the story which is very deeply complicated and tragically beautiful. It was published as a part of his collection from the volume The Happy Prince and Other Tales. The story is about how a nightingale gave up her life so that a student who thinks he is in love can win the heart of his beloved with a red rose. In this particular story, the characteristics are major characteristics I would like to introduce in front of you. No doubt, very innocent creature which was the major character in this story, and that is Nightingale, a very little bird sing a melodious song. Second major character is become a young student who was studied philosophy, and third major character is become a young girl which was near about unseen in whole of the story, who was become a materialistic believer of a young student. And apart from that, one of the nature creature is also perform a character, that is an oak tree which was having different color of roses and fantastically having ability to speak with the nightingale and the young student. Remember, dear student, this was one of the fantasy. So you know very well what exactly fantasy means. So the oak tree is also able to speak, nightingale is also able to speak with the Irish students. If we take a glance at the theme of the story, then it is easily said that this story is delineate Oscar Wilde's vivid description and his keen insight into human nature, compassion, sacrifice, and above all, love, and the basic themes of this particular story. The plot of the story is very much simple, and it is the story contains a single plot that set in the motion when Nightingale overhears a young student who expresses his fear about losing the young woman he loves forever. The young woman threatens to abandon the student unless he gives her a red rose. Taking pity of the student, Nightingale sacrifices her life in order to produce a red rose for the young man. Now, here, very briefly, I would like to explain the summary of this story. The summary is become divided into the three main parts. First is become the lamenting of a young student. Second part is become the efforts which was taken by the single bird nightingale, and the happiness of the student. And last part occurs the sacrifice of the nightingale. If you observe the picture which was seen in this particular slide, how the small bird is become sacrifice its own life for the sake of a true love. This particular story, The Nightingale and the Red Rose by Oscar Wilde, is a one of the touching story which published in 1888 relates the plight of the student who was fallen in painful love with the professor's daughter. A nightingale hears the student's plaintive cries and recognizes in them the true love that she has always sung about. She decides to help the student to obtain a red rose, to give his love even though it will come at a great cost. The central character to enter the story is the student, no doubt. The student was never named in this particular story, who was unnamed. He was a young man caught in the throes of the love. Though he studied philosophy, he find himself overwhelmed by the powerful emotions. He said with himself, that was listened by Nightingale. What he said? See, he said that she said, means the beloved, she said that she would dance with him if he brought for the red rose. The student cries because in whole of his garden there is no red rose. The student is presented as somewhat Philistine, finding no value in the beauty of Nightingale. He is only capable of appreciating the logic of his dusty textbooks. Apparently, his study have no prepared him for facing the real world or the consequences which occur in the real world. So, apparently his study have not prepared for him. He has no idea what to do with his emotions. So what is the use of such type of philosophical study? It is the basic question which was arised by Oscar Wilde in this story. The particular rose tree is under the student's window, is only tree in the garden that blooms with the red rose, but however it was barely survived, and especially the bitter winter season is going on, so that particular red rose plant was unable to produce any red rose. After hearing students sigh, the nightingale was the nightingale was very like the true love of the particular student, and she determines to find him a red rose. So very eagerly she flies here and there in the garden, and she flies all around, near about all around the garden, and asking the rose bushes if they might grant her the red roses in exchange of for her song. But unfortunately, the rose bushes are only produce white and yellow roses. That when she find the rose bush under the window of that young student, a red rose in exchange of particular flower wants her heart blood, and that is very harsh condition which was kept in front of the nightingale. But she said, love is better than life. Very nice quotation, very nice sentence which was described by the nightingale. What is the heart of bird is composed with the heart of man. So she feels over the students to bring him a good news. She will lay down her life for his love. In exchange, she asked him to remain true for. At last, Nightingale laid down her life in the ultimate display of the love which rises beyond the romance to enter the realm of the sacred for the she songs of the love that is perfected by the death of the love that dies not in the tomb. By referring Christ, Oscar Wilde presents the nightingale as a symbol of Jesus' sacrifice, which was for the Christians like Wilde the ultimate student of the true love. In this way, the Nightingale and the Rose, it was very fantastic story which was presented by Oscar Wilde. Last but not least, I would like to tell you about the moral of this story. That is that it is the full of world which is full of people who know much and understand little. They cannot appreciate true love and beauty and put their faith in practical things instead of. Dear student, I think that you surely understood the whole extract of this story which was written by Oscar Wilde, The Nightingale and the Rose. Thank you.